go ahead and get this meeting started. Um, This is a notice of a regular meeting. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Brookshire will conduct a regular meeting Thursday, October the 21st, 2021 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the council's chambers of the Brookshire Municipal Building located at 4029 Fifth Street. Okay. Ms. Harrison, would you do roll call, please? Mhm.
Mayor Branch,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Green, Alderman Jones,
Present.
Alderwoman Branch,
Here.
Alderwoman Taylor,
Here.
Alderman Stamps. You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda is a prayer and the pledge. Would anyone out in the audience like to give us a prayer before we start this meeting? Sure.
Father in heaven, we just say thank you for tonight, oh Heavenly Father. We thank you for this community meeting tonight, oh Heavenly Father, city council meeting, and things that are discussed. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that you step into the house tonight, that we'll have a wonderful meeting, oh Heavenly Father. We'll be able to reason with one another, oh Heavenly Father, to get the things done that need to go forward, oh Heavenly Father. We just say thank you for each and every one here tonight, the city council, oh Heavenly Father, the mayor, oh Heavenly Father. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that you continue to keep them in a mighty way. We ask that you continue to bless them, oh Heavenly Father. We ask that you continue to lift them up with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, most of all love, oh Heavenly Father. We thank you for each and every one that is attending tonight. We ask that you bless them, oh Heavenly Father. We ask that you keep them in a mighty way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Would like to do the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a rather large public comments, and if I'm looking at this rightly, most of y'all are here for agenda item number 16. 15 and 16, 15 and 16. Okay, well, what I would like to do is go ahead and let's go to agenda item number 16 and give everyone an opportunity to discuss this while we are on the item. Please keep your talk to a minimum, at least 2 minutes. That way everybody get a chance to talk, and we all won't have to be up here all night long. So, let me read the agenda item first. Agenda item number 16, discussion, possible action regarding the commercial use of the property located at 4761 South Street.
Any place you'd like to, ma'am, it's all on you.
Good evening, Mayor Branch and City Council. I stand before you to discuss the property on South Street. I live at 4720 South Street. And I have shared with everyone on the council, along with Mayor, my concerns. So I won't go over all those details because they're quite lengthy, unless y'all want me to, I can't. But I've shared it and everybody is aware of my concerns. So today, I'm gonna ask you to enforce City Ordinance number 07515 10, Section 4, that states, change in the use of property. And it states, it shall be the duty of every owner or developer of property in the city to seek the approval of council prior to changing the destination of his or her property. No change in the use of this property shall be valid without city council's approval. So the property located right next to me, 4720 South Street, right next to me, if I'm not mistaken, the location is 4717, if 16, if I'm not, okay, is residential, and no one has come before city council to change that use. I'm a lifelong resident of this area. I've been at 4720 South Street for 16 years. That's my life investment. That's my home. I found out a couple of months ago that an exterminating company is attempting to erect an office/storage building next to the property between two homes, between two residential properties. I would say that goes against anything that anybody would come to mind that would be a residential place, a building sitting in the middle of homes. So that's a concern of mine for so many reasons. So before any changes can occur, the owner or developer must come before city council. And as a citizen of this community, and to keep the integrity of the city, I'm requesting that that change be denied. I'm sure you and everyone in here would not want a business coming right next to you come right next to your home. So I'm sure not even the owner of the property would want a business next to their home. So we elected you as officials to represent, to support, and do what's in the best interest of the citizens and the city of Brookshire. So again, to keep the integrity of the city, I am asking you to keep the residential areas residential. There's a place for businesses, and that's among businesses, not among residential areas. So if that happens, if the owner, if the developer comes before you asking for you to change the use of the property, I ask you to deny their request.
You done?
I'm done. Unless y'all want me to go over my concerns. But I have it, if I do have it. So.
Next, I would like to have Mr. Larry, I cannot pronounce your last name. You can come forward.
She's gonna wipe it off. Let me wipe it down for you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to say it was nice to hear a prayer and the pledge before everything going on in the country now. It's nice to hear that. I did purchase the property on 4714 South Street. My family and I started our business about 10 years ago. We've been running that out of our house, ever since. And the Lord has blessed us to grow enough to be able to purchase the property and hopefully put a building there, which will be office and storage. I know there's been some concerns about the fact that we're a pest control company and that we use chemicals. Those chemicals, we get a delivery once a week. Those chemicals are in a box in sealed bottles. So there's no chance of, contamination or anything like that. I don't know if that's a concern with you guys, but I've run the business out of my home for the past 10 years and never had any issues. Out of my garage is where I store everything now, and we've grown to the point that I need to expand, but I've never had an issue with any of my neighbors. And I believe firmly in what the Bible says, that you should love your neighbor as yourself. And I think if you asked any of the neighbors that I've ever had or have today, I firmly believe that, and I live up to that. Regarding what you said, ma'am, I mean, if you look at the Heights, several cities across the United States have no zoned areas where businesses and residential areas merge. And it's my family's intention not to just have a business in the community, but to be part of the community. We're a part of a charitable organization in the city of Katy. And we intend to use our business as a means to an end, to be the hands and feet of Christ with whatever we do, and try to give back in whatever community that we're in. We have gone through the process. I know she brought up going through before city council, but we went through the permitting process through the city. We've been in this process since March. So the city has examined our plans and our documents and knew our intentions. I think we've been as clear about what we were trying to do from the beginning as possible. We've tried to be transparent. I don't want to hide anything, and I certainly don't want to harm any of my neighbors at all. This business is our livelihood. We've invested everything into it. At this point, we have over $30,000 invested in plans, engineers, everything that the city said they required. We've made payments to the building company based on the fact that our plans were approved. So I would ask everybody here to have the grace to stand by what the city has approved already. If you can find it in your heart to do that. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak here.
Thank you, sir. You can just lay it there. I'm sorry, I forgot you was taking care of that.
Oh, wipe it off.
Miss Courtney?
Hello, my name is Courtney Gorley. I'm the property manager at Cedar Heights Apartments. I'm here to represent the residents living directly next to the proposed 24-hour, 7-day-a-week heavy truck maintenance shop as noted as commercial use on agenda item 16. Almost 1 year ago, I took over management of this property and drastically improved the quality of the parents for the betterment of all the area residents. I did bring a photo to show you what it looked like before if y'all haven't driven down it and what it looks like now today. I am opposed to the particular use of this type of business directly next to my residential property, as it will disrupt my residents' lives and cause harm to my residents, my business, and to the city. There is a significant noise and visual concern with a 24/7 heavy maintenance shop in the adjacent parking lot of my residential complex. The current residents at my apartment are a mix of day and night workers at other local businesses that would not be able to sleep due to the high level of noise coming from the maintenance shop at all hours of the day and night. Not only will my residents' lives be disrupted, but there will also be a disturbance to the other residential residents across the street and the community church across the street as well. There are also significant environmental concerns with the high potential for spills and improper disposal of motor oil, refrigerants, CFCs, and other chemicals. My next point of concern is general waste disposal, as the operator's initial operations utilized a burn barrel for trash and solid waste materials and failed to set up a regular trash service. Those burn barrels and improperly disposed of trash is still on the property today. Increased street and culvert maintenance will be needed due to heavy truck traffic on a residential asphalt road already in somewhat poor condition. This would increase costs for the city and the residents of Brookshire. Thank you for allowing me to express my concerns. I urge you not to approve this type of commercial business to operate in such close proximity to a residential area.
Thank you.
Mayor Branch, she's concerning agenda item number 15.
I know.
And I just wanted to make that clear to everybody that she wasn't on agenda item number 16.
We're on agenda item 16, and whoever would like to speak on this item, please do so, or I can go down the line, or I'll tell you what, I just go down the line. Miss Beverly Vaughn, you want to do number 16? Right, Miss Vaughn?
What agenda
Yes.
item?
16?
Yes, I'm on 15.
What are we on?
I'm on 15.
What agenda item?
She is number 15.
Hey,
Yes.
Mayor Branch, Mayor, just maybe for clarity, since there's a lot of comments on 15, 16, I think
the addresses are a little confusing for people. So maybe allow for just 15, items 15 and 16. We can just make that
Okay,
discussion now.
that's fine.
Well, I'm not going to hold you long. I just want to say my concern is the exposure to the chemicals to our community. We have a church next door, and we have people that's on dialysis across the street. We have children at play. We cannot be promised that there won't be an explosion with climate change. He can't promise us that there won't be an accident in that building. He can't promise us that there won't be a disaster in our community. Yes, it's not at his house, but when it comes down here in this exposure, we will be at risk. Our lives are at risk from breathing in chemicals. What if? We got to look at the what ifs. We can say what we feel like is not going to happen in the past, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So what we're doing is looking at our future homes. I have a home that's there that's going to be a forever home, and I don't want exposure to chemicals around my children, my grandchildren, my church members, the elders in the community. We're thinking about the community as a whole. So we can't just think about the money that we're making. I mean, I spent 30 grand just billing, just getting the paperwork done to get the church. So it's no difference in what I did. But I want to let y'all know we should stand together, community, and say we need to be zoned. We cannot have businesses in our residential areas. We're going to get ran out of town if we don't, because when we get more businesses, the taxes go up. We're in a very, very crucial point right now in Brookshire community. So I just want to say I'm totally against. I love you, sir. I am a Christian. I am a pastor. But this is my sister. She worked hard for her home. And for you to say I'm going to put some pesticides next door to her house, I don't think so. I'm not in agreement with it. I'm not going to stop loving you, but I'm not in agreement with it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next we have Robert. Robert, would you state your name for me, please?
Robert Fuentes.
Could you get the microphone from Councilman Jones?
Yeah, he's on number 15. It's kind of, yeah, 15 and 16.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to clarify some things that were stated. I'm the owner of RVS Fleet Maintenance. We're a Christian company, and we hire veterans. And just to clarify what Courtney was saying, we have no intentions of operating out of that site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're closed on Sundays because we're a Christian company, and that's our time to go to church. And that site, when I had rented that place, was initially going to be used as a satellite location. So I sent this email back on 4/29/21. I'm just going to read it for you guys so you can understand. It says, land use for 4761 South Street. To whom it may concern, my company, RVS Fleet Maintenance, is a Christian company that provides 24-hour roadside assistance. The land that I rent is used for temporary storage and a place to repair trucks that we can't repair over the road or on-site at their location. We repair semi-trucks and trailers over the road. All of our work is performed roadside or at the client's location. We work out of our trucks or service trucks. We don't need water or electricity at the lot because we're set up to work out of our service trucks. The lot is used to store equipment and parts that we use and a place to work on projects. I hope this best describes our situation. As a new business in your city, we're looking to fill 3 positions. We currently employ 2 Army veterans. Actually, it went up to 3 now. We're proud to say that we are a growing small business, ready to invest in the community around us. When you approve this business, you are a part of that growth. When you approve this business, you are helping veterans keep their jobs. When you approve this business, you are helping families put food on the table and pay their bills in the pandemic. When you approve this business, you are helping young American business owners. When you approve this business, you are helping the city's future grow in a positive direction. When you approve this business, you're approving the pursuit of the American dream. This was sent back on 4/21, so we never had any intentions on like disturbing the environment around us. I'm very cautious of that. I even tell my guys that, to respect everyone around them, because it lines up with our morals, it lines up to what our company stands for, and plus I put myself in other people's situations where I wouldn't want a business coming in and being a problem. I hate problems, and I respect the fact that this is a community issue, and I just wanted you guys to know that this business, I put my sweat, my blood, my tears in it, and we're growing, and it just seems like there's been a lot of hostility my way, and I've been trying my hardest to have a set plan on what needs to get done, the easiest way for everyone, so that my business can be profitable, my guys can be profitable, and not interrupt anybody's way of living. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Tim Ridge. You don't have anything? Okay. Next, we have Mr. Elton Foster.
My name is Elton Foster. I want to thank the council and mayor for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. I'm a member of First Chapel Baptist Church, which is in proximity of both of these companies that wish to deal or remain in our community. We're neighbors about 2 doors down from the exterminating business, and then we're across the street from the repair service. Our issue is that, true enough, all the intents are honorable, and we understand that, but we also have to preserve and protect our current situation. We have been a community of homes and church and business that doesn't pose a environmental threat to the community. Both situations, if there is an accident, could jeopardize their neighbors. One thing, the water runs from east to west, and if the chemicals that are housed in the warehouse escapes, it's going to run right by the church. And if there is a, God forbid, a fire out of and winds are blowing out of the east, it's going to overtake the church and Miss Wood's home. And not only that, we have apartment complex where we have children that are constantly playing outside. And once again, if something happens either place, it could cause injury to our children. We don't have anything against companies that's coming to Brookshire. The issue is where you locate. And we feel as a small section of Brookshire community that both presents a situation that could possibly cause harm to the neighbors, and that's our concern. We're not against you coming to Brookshire, but we are concerned about the location. We want to encourage growth, and to the mayor, to the council, we do want to encourage growth, but we want the council and the mayor to be responsible where that growth takes place. We understand that these things were approved through the proper city government, but the issue is that the community didn't know. We didn't know. And if we had we've been here sooner to protest or to ask the council to reconsider what they did. And that's why we're here tonight, to ask the council, the mayor, to reconsider the decisions that you made. And Sister Wood plainly gave the ordinance that this has a possibility of going against. And we appreciate the council for hearing us. And I know this is a long period of time, we appreciate you doing that, but we ask that you really consider, perhaps, making a decision or that it will be in favor of the current residents and occupants of Brookshire. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And, I'm sorry, Mayor, the neighbor that is on the east side of the property wrote a letter to the council. So if y'all have it, she wanted me to read it to y'all, but if you have it, I won't have to read it, but if you don't have it, I would love to read it to you.
We have it?
I read it.
Okay.
We have it in the packet. Everyone has it.
Y'all have it?
Yes.
No, we have it. I'll get
It was emailed.
Okay. And this is on the homeowner on the east side of the property.
Mayor Branch, I just want to say something. Mr. Foster mentioned that the council knew. The council did not know. We were not aware of this. It did go through the city's permitting department, but the council did not know. I personally didn't know till 3, maybe 4 weeks ago when Ms. Woods reached out to me as a council person.
And I agree with Ms. Branch, Councilwoman Branch on that as well. We just, she didn't know, I didn't know, and I can only speak on that wise.
That's true.
I wanna say something about those two pieces of property. The property right there where the storage containers, where the gentleman came up and spoke. You said it's a satellite company, and there's a storage building over, storage container over there. I don't see how you can run a business out of the storage container without coming before city council for approval for anything. You're supposed to have come before council, this is the proper way, to move a temporary building in over there. But that didn't take place. I have friends that live over there in those apartment complexes. They've complained to me about the noise. I drive through there. There's several times I drove through there and saw workers working there. It is, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same piece of property that the apartments are on. Is it one plat? It's two plats?
Yes.
We hadn't seen any paperwork, anything.
Here in the file, there's a survey.
I'm sorry?
In the file, there's a survey. It's two different properties.
Nobody came before city council.
Did
With
you
any of that
come and
paperwork.
even ask for a permit to open up a business? Do you have a building that represents a building on that piece of property?
This is the issue I had, and
It's in the packet.
when I first rented that property, I didn't know you had to do all this. So Mayor Branch, he came to the property, explained to me what I had to do, and that was on April 12th. He said I had to go get a permit checklist and get everything signed off, explain to them what I wanted to do. By the next day, April 13th, I had signatures where I've been trying to do things right, but I just feel like I've been misled. They say, go before council. I'm like, okay, I'll go before council. I have emails where I was actually on city council back in
Alderman Green, I apologize for interrupting.
That's okay.
That survey is in the packet. Yeah, no.
This young man is agenda item number 16. Whenever he's speaking, he's 16. Whenever at Life After Buzz is speaking, they're agenda item number 15. That's Ms. Woods' agenda.
How did we get that?
Still in the packet. They keep passing.
Well, that's what I was asking earlier, which one each person wanted to,
Should have stuck with
comment
16.
Well, as he's looking for his paperwork, I want to continue.
So, y'all have, when talked to Michelle, and I was telling her, it's all I do, she's giving me, okay, this is what you have to do. I got that checklist. Like I said, the very next day, I got it signed, and I did it, and I had no issue with it, because what I was explaining to them is that it's a satellite location. It's just there for storage and for extra projects, because my company is mobile. So we have trucks that are all over Houston, that fix trucks at their locations, that break on you, like you call, if they're flat tire, you call AAA and the truck shows up, that's what we do, but for eight movers. So we don't necessarily, we're not gonna be operating out of that business all hours of the day, anytime we want, no. So that's just for storage and equipment. So back to your question, I did request to be on the council, and I was on the council, but it got postponed and it got canceled twice. Then I was emailing the secretary, like, hey, what's the next step? What's the next step? And I drove up and I was talking to Michelle. Michelle was the one that was helping me. She says, well, you have to get a building there. I said, well, I don't need a building there. I run the business off.
Sir, that's part of the ordinance. That's part of the process. You can't just throw up a tent and run a business. And sir, the other night as I was going out to dinner at 8:30 at night, you were over in that property with lights on, fixing something.
We don't fix anything. We don't fix anything there. We have parts and equipment there that we pick up and that we use. We don't repair anything there. Anything.
Okay. Myself and Mayor Pro Tem Green and Mr. Kelly, we all come over several times to advise you what you needed to do. And we also let the police department know that you were working over there when you shouldn't have been. That's the reason why we send them over. I think it was Sergeant Rose that went over there. So, you went to? Okay, thank you, Officer Phillips. So, let's move on and we'll try to get this thing concluded.
Finish item number 16.
Let's,
Can I make one suggestion, Brother Mayor? Due to the fact it's getting late, can we stick with 15 or 16?
that's the one we was talking about. I'm gonna finish it. We got,
All right, just check.
we have two other people want to speak on this item. Miss Addie,
That's my engineering consultant.
Mike, so we can hear you.
Just want to make y'all know it's my engineering consultant.
I thank the council for having me to come and speak today. I'm on item number 15, and basically I just have 3 concerns that sort of back everyone who's gotten up before. I'm a member of Courage Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, and I grew up in this community. But, and I want this community to grow like everyone else. But when you're talking about bringing in companies, you're bringing in a chemical company. That's a little bit different, because one of the concerns I have is a right to know. The right to know is to consider a federal regulation. It's considered a federal regulation that an individual has a right to know the chemicals that they are being exposed to on a daily basis. This is backed by OSHA and EPA. I'm not sure. The council said that they weren't familiar with what was going on until it had happened. So I'm assuming you don't know what chemicals they're bringing in. Okay, you got chemicals that are toxic, and you got chemicals that are flammable. I don't know if a facility siting has been done to understand the vulnerability or the proximity of where you're putting these chemicals. And I know the man said that he was going to bring them in boxes and bottles, I think. But if there's mixing taking place, or any time you're opening up these chemicals, you're exposing people. Not only the right to know that we don't know what chemicals you're bringing in and the list of chemicals, but the testing, we don't know how they're going to handle that. And another thing, with the flammable materials, fire proposed a special hazard in pest control, because once it starts burning, you can't just come in with water and put it out. You've got, like Deacon Foster said, you got a problem with, you're going to end up with airborne material, and you're gonna end up with runoff. Well, now we got leaching, we got runoff, we got chemicals going into the water system, and then you got, even if you don't wash them down, just leaching by itself. I'm not sure, you said you got a small facility, so under a certain quantity, you don't have to have, if it's tanks or whatever, you don't have to have double containers. So there's a lot of things that we don't know what's coming into the community. You've got, like I said, the proximity, you've got homes, you've got children, you've got the church across the street, the church down the street. They're not just one or two, and you got a multiple living system right there across the street from you. So it's exposure to people, but it's not just one or two people. You got exposure to a community. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my consultant, engineer consultant.
It's up to you, Mayor.
Sure, just,
Does Brookshire have a fire department?
No.
yes. Yes.
There you go.
We have a fire department that we are part of the ESD, the Emergency Services Department, number,
To this, if they have a chemical fire, first responders, who comes?
The fire department.
the fire department.
Then, if needed, hazmat, be contacted and come out.
The
And that's where they're located?
Patterson and that's another.
No,
It's the new building out
59
on
South.
359 South. The citizens of Brookshire voted 8, maybe 9 years ago to join the ESD, and that gave them,
But when you have chemicals, first responders gotta be trained, they gotta know what chemicals they're coming in, because from my understanding, pesticides you can't use water on, you gotta use some type of foam material. So if we have Patterson come in, water it down, now you got runoff of probably toxic chemicals, that's what I'm saying. There's more to it, you've got planning, it's all kind of on the city itself, not on the, but on the city. And you got transporting of hazard chemicals in and out of your city, so how are we gonna handle that?
Oh.
I just wanted to say, and I understand, and again, these are chemicals that I've been keeping in my garage for the past 10 years. And so there is no mixing or drums, or I think there's maybe a misconception. These are just bottles that I give my technicians that they take and, go out and use. So as far as you're talking about, large spills or fires, we're required by the TDA, we're regulated by the Texas Department of Agriculture. Every chemical we have has an MSDS sheet. We're required to have those on site. I have them at my house now, so we would have a book with all those MSDS sheets. The city is welcome to those. The TDA is apprised of those at all times. We are heavily regulated. We're audited almost every year, as I believe our business should be because of different concerns. But the chemicals are required to be kept in a locked, area, so that nobody has access to those. So I just, I understand your percentage of the facility. We're not bringing in, trucks of chemicals. This is just, boxes that, similar to what you would see in Home Depot, your quart size, chemical containers. So, no drums or vats or anything like that, mixing or anything like that. So,
Excuse me, sir.
yes, sir.
If permitted by council, how, you never spoke of volume. You said balls, but if you got 1,000 balls, that adds up. And you say in a warehouse, so there's a difference. You just can't say I'm gonna have balls, but yet, we don't know how many balls. You understood that. We don't know if it's water soluble or diesel soluble, or what mixture do you have? And I know that all in the MSDS sheets, but we don't have that. And I don't know if when you did the application, if you submitted those MSDS sheets to the city, so they can review those things. So there's a lot of things that are unworked that we are not aware of, and we won't be aware of until you start moving in.
So one of the families of chemicals, majority of what we use is a pyrethroid, which is a synthetic version of pyrethrum, which was originally derived from the chrysanthemum flower. So the synthetic version of that is the same active ingredient that you have in lice shampoo or what you put on your dogs. And if you think about the amount of chemical it takes, chemical kills by weight. So the amount of chemical it takes to kill a mosquito or ants or a roach is very small. A human would have to ingest quite a bit of this chemical at an undiluted rate to be harmed. So if you want to look at pyrethroids, that's the majority of the family of chemicals we use. And they're considered to have a very low mammalian toxicity. So I'm happy to share those MSDO sheets with anybody who's interested. And as far as bulk or volume, we get a weekly delivery of about 5 or 6 boxes. Each box will have 4 to 5 bottles in it. So I've got, I can't keep, chemical degrades quickly with heat or sunlight. So I'm taking it from a climate controlled facility. I'm putting it in my garage, which is not climate controlled. I'll be putting it in this warehouse, which is not climate controlled. So I can't be keeping, I can't get drums and vats of chemicals and keep it there for an extended period of time because it will lose its efficacy within the
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
about growth? Are you planning on growing as you already grew out of your garage?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you gotta get another building.
Okay.
So once you get in that building, are you gonna grow? So we don't know if you're gonna grow out of that building and you have big vats of chemicals. We don't know that because you planning on growing and you plan on expanding because you're a businessman. So we can't look at your little bottles, we're looking at the little bottles now, but which they're not.
There's no way I would ever be licensed to purchase bats or I can only purchase something in a sealed container. So I mean, it would be maybe more boxes, but it would never be like a routine deal of pulling out where a hose brings out chemical because that's a whole, you're talking about.
Okay,
process.
let me say this. One of the issues that we've been having in our community is people who buy property that's not from this community dictating how our community looks. And that's what we're trying to stop. We want you to come to our community. We encourage businesses to come to our community, but we want our community to look a certain way. And we can't do that when we have situations like this. When there's an area where there's primary residence, it's nothing but residents over here in this area right here, and then you come in and put a commercial business there. Now you're affecting the tax money. We have to look out for the elderly in that community. Also, we have to look out for we're looking out for the safety of our community as well as how it looks. It's kind of hard to do that when you don't have zoning. That's why the other ordinance was in place. You come before city council and then you present what you're trying to do. You're not out of any money. And you already know what you can and do with that piece of property. That was not put in place for zoning. That was for the protection of the citizens of our community. When I first got elected, I'll never forget this. Mr. Allen told me, he says, your primary goal is to look out for the taxpayers of this community. That's number one. And if we're not looking out for the taxpayers of our community, we're giving them a distrust. We're not doing our job. And right now you have a room full of taxpayers that are upset about what's going on. I commend you with your job, with the company, that you're putting veterans to work, but look who you're hurting. Look who you're disturbing. I know, but look who you're disturbing. You know, it's like you don't even have any concern about the people who you put that around.
To respond to that, no, we do, because that's why we picked that location, was because it was just the land. We're not planning on having a full-blown shop and operating all that. No, we're not doing that. It's satellite location.
You're not even in compliance.
I know, I've been trying to get this compliance since.
But you're operating out of compliance. And you should stop operating. That's why the police showed up over there the other day.
Yes,
No, it's no confusion.
Confusion,
No,
sir.
it's no confusion.
You're operating a business without a permit. Period, paragraph.
Let me
Simple.
clarify that. I'm not operating out of that location.
Okay, I'm ready to move on. Thank you, sir. And we have another speaker, Ms. D.
Brother Mayor, if I can, Dr. Clay has a representative.
Dr. Clay, she's been helping us with the permitting.
Ms. Harrison, okay, she been helping with the permit.
Yeah.
What did Dr. Clay say about the setbacks on the property?
I haven't gotten anything from Dr. Clay.
Oh.
Not on this particular.
Okay. Ms. D.
Good evening to everyone. Honorable Mayor, distinguished council members. I'm here to address item 15, which talks about opening a chemical business. And I just want to say, I want to ask the council to say no to this. We do not need a chemical business. I'm a member of the Courage Chapel Baptist Church. And with chemicals and stuff, we've heard about all this when they leak. I know the gentleman said that he had secure things and that he's meeting all the regulations. But if we could just go back and remember the disaster that happened at Deer Park, the chemical fire, which is 2019. LaPorte, Texas, a chemical plant explosion, leaves 2 dead, 30 hospitalized. Ammonia nitrate killed 500 people in Texas City, 1947. We had 15 people, 2003, fire and explosion, West Texas. It is not a matter talking about the chemicals and the safety and so forth. The problem is gonna be when it's gonna happen. Because it's gonna happen if you have chemicals. It's gonna happen at some point. It's just like having people say, we got laws in place and everything until people not rob banks. Banks are still getting robbed. But if we have this chemical thing in our community, then what's gonna happen when you got people dead, bodies lying everywhere, you can't bring them back. So I'm asking you to say no to that. I also heard on the agenda item 16 about the warehouse. There are a lot of children in that neighborhood. There are a lot of older people, and I see them walking back and forth down the street. We don't need a business in a residential area where you're gonna have a lot of traffic, and traffic is going to come. It's just bottom line. So I'm asking the council to say no to both of those businesses. And believe me, I'm not doing to say this out of spite, because I'd love to see Brookshire grow. We'd love to see more tax dollars, but just not in that area. Most chemical plants are located miles and miles from a residential place. It's not in the heart of the city. And you just think it's gonna affect the people around that area. It's gonna affect the whole city of Brookshire. So we may not have a city of Brookshire if we allow that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D. We have another gentleman, Mr. Wintergarten.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good
Council.
afternoon.
Thank y'all for letting me speak tonight. I'm not a citizen of Brookshire, but I am a businessman, and I kind of understand where you guys are coming from. But I've built here in Brookshire, I've built all over, Rosenberg, Waller, everywhere. I built Dollar General stores, retail centers, all of those things. But one thing I say is that I am a member of Courage Chapel Baptist Church, and I'm also a person that cares about the community and what happens to the community. And chemicals, like you're talking about right there, I had a good friend work for me for 10 years, did all of my buildings, spraying my buildings, for rats, insects, all of that stuff. He has cancer right now. 3 years ago, he has cancer. And that's why I say, he worked out of a building also. He didn't have it in his garage, but he had buildings outside, even had air conditioners in there to keep the temperature right. And I just want people to understand is that chemicals is not something you can play with. I worked for Gulf Oil for many years, and I understand chemicals. I understand all of that, part of that. It's like my sister just said right there. It's just a matter of time when it's gonna happen, because it's gonna happen. And when I say that, it's like riding a horse. If you ride a horse all the time, you got a ranch like I do all the time, it's only a matter of time when you're gonna get hurt somehow on that horse. I don't mean, like I said, I understand what y'all are trying to do. I'm a businessman myself. I struggle with permits and all of this kind of stuff. But one thing I say to you is, when you have a business like y'all have, you gotta go outside of the city. Because you gotta think about these people that's here. These people are living in the city. They're raising their kids in the city. Chemicals, we don't need. We don't need those. I understand that's your business, but you gotta think a little bit. Right next to her house right there. Matter of fact, the lot is so small that the building is gonna be right up at the property line. That's a concern, you know, that's a concern. Like I said, I understand where y'all are at. You wanna promote your business? But this is not the way to do it. You've gotta find different locations. You've gotta go outside the city to get done what you're doing. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, we have another gentleman, Mr. Gary Woods. Would you like to speak now or wait till your item come up?
Well, it said it's on the agenda.
You'll wait.
I should say something, just so everybody know why I'm here. Guess what I'm gonna read?
I think you should, Mr. Woods.
Yes.
My name is Gary Woods. I own the Brookshire Quick Lube in Brookshire, Texas, here, and also I'm electrical contracting business and a lot of things. About 3 months ago, a big billboard sign just showed up next to my building. I was not informed about it, ever. I was gone out of town 1 week working. My men called and said, Gary, there's a big digging truck digging a big pier right on your property line, you better get over it. Well, I did later that week, and there was a big hole, big concrete pier. And by the weekend, a big boom truck set, a 40-foot tower sign, two-tier, about 20 tons. And it's within 5 foot of my property. And the man that owns the property, who I won't name, he knew about it, because he rented his land. But this company put the sign on it, he never informed me what was going on. And to my knowledge, there's an ordinance in the city of Brookshire about these signs are not allowed. They're not. And did they come before the city council to get a variance?
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay, then I think it was done illegal. And I
It
want
took me 6 months to
I want
realize
to
this.
Because my building is in danger. My men working there and my customers that are there, if it falls, a tornado comes through there while we're working there, a big, cloudburst. You know what cloudbursts are. We're there working, cloudburst shows up, customers, men, that thing falls over, it'll kill everyone there, crush my building, and I'll be out of business for a year. And then who do I go to? Who do I sue? Who do I sue? So, that's why I'm here tonight. I know it's on the agenda, and I would like action taken immediately to get it removed because it was done illegal. Okay? That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Let's see, you wanna come comment, or you wanna go on, or wait?
Do you want to finish all the public comments, or do you want to just
That's
wrap
all
up
of
15? That's everybody, okay.
That's the last one.
So then we have items 15 and 16. You can handle those, wrap them up individually, or we can deal with them together. What you want to do?
Let's just get them two out of the way.
Okay, so item 15 is to be clear, is that the,
Trailer, the company
Just
on
to
the
start.
parking lot.
15 is Life After Bugs in Miss Woods.
okay,
Yeah,
so 15 and 16, both, I mean, there's the same issue, in my opinion, that you're dealing with. And I think we had a few speakers talk about, the first issue you're dealing with as a city is you don't have zoning. And so a lot of what, I mean, the citizens and the business owners, property owners are frustrated about is because you don't have zoning. And what that means is that for protections for property owners, protections for businesses, the city's not gonna be able to provide that like you would in the context of a city that's zoned. If you have zoning, then the issues of having, residential uses next to commercial uses, next to industrial, whatever, the city can plan for that and can set areas where things that the city, that the public determines where they should go. If you don't have zoning, you don't have that protection outright available to you. I think you're also dealing with, the city doesn't have a code enforcement officer now. And even if you did, it would be a relatively new position because you've been, when Lieutenant McDonald was here, he was here for a couple of years. He was the first code enforcement officer in that position that you'd had. But right now, there's no one doing that. I think the third issue you're dealing with is that just by the nature of what's happened with McDonald and some other folks is that you're short-staffed on especially development services and permitting and the whole process. And with Dr. Clay, and we've heard him several times talk about how he wants to retire. And I think part of that is because his job duties are extended beyond just being the city engineer, that because of his knowledge of the area and the city of Brookshire, he'll look at plans, but he'll also look at permitting and that type of thing too. And so then what you do, which is it's not unusual or wrong or anything like that, you've contracted with Bureau Veritas to do some of your permitting and plan review. But if you think about that, what that means is instead of in-house people reviewing plans or looking at businesses or having someone on staff to go and, be on the ground looking at uses, things changing, that kind of thing, you don't have that. You have a permitting company that's off-site. You have an engineer that is wanting to retire and off-site. And you just don't have anybody doing, the day-to-day kind of permitting work. So then what happens is you have this kind of situation. And so, and again, I don't know why, like Councilman Green, you mentioned that when that particular provision or that ordinance that was mentioned about that if you're going to change the use of property in Brookshire from residential to commercial, commercial to residential, whatever, it needs city approval. So I know that you've been advised that using that provision to replace zoning would not be advisable, and you're advised not to enforce that. And I think that's true. If you're not going to adopt zoning and you have one code provision that you're going to use to essentially replace zoning, that's not something you should do. However, in existence right now in your code, you have what you do have distinction between is residential type uses and then what you call commercial type uses. And with each of those, you're not regulating if someone can use a property for residential or commercial. You're not regulating the use at all. What you're regulating is if you're going to do one of those types of uses, and there's certain rules you got to apply for. And that's what Bureau Veritas comes into the plate, and all your city staff will do that. So if someone's building a home or modifying a home, there's certain restrictions and certain things they got to be permitted to do. In my opinion, if you don't use that one code provision for zoning, I think it is appropriate to know that when somebody approaches the city, if they're going to start using for commercial use, then, even though they may be permitted on a property for residential use, that the regulations changed for the new business. So then what we're going to look at, we're not going to regulate whether they can or cannot do a commercial use on a property. What we're going to look at is how they're using the property. Does it fall in line with what the code says? So like for setbacks, for parking requirements, for landscaping, all those types of things. And then specifically for the chemical, like the chemical type uses, we looked at that, I think, 2 meetings ago or meeting ago. I mean, there's other regulations that other entities put on, and we, you know, we just trust that those companies are abiding by those rules as well. So, I mean, I'm saying all that to say that without zoning, the city doesn't have the authority to come in and tell someone yes or no they can or cannot do something. So the enforcement of that particular code provision to try to use the zoning, I mean, I think it's a good advice that you received to not use that as like a default zoning when you don't have it. But I think that you do need to be aware of what uses are what, so that you can make sure that your permitting process is being applied correctly and plans are being met. And, you know, if a plan is submitted for like a structure being built and it's permitted and it's approved, that was it was correctly permitted and reviewed, and also that when it's actually getting constructed and used, that it follows the plans. And that requires a code enforcement officer or somebody that is on the ground to do that kind of, you know, research and follow up. So, I mean, I don't know if that's helpful for anybody, but what that means is, and for the two different properties you have a business that's gone through the permitting process, had their plans approved, and again, right now under your code, you can't stop certain uses under your code. And so with hearing all the concerns about the use of the property being, you know, chemicals and whatever possible danger that could be, the city right now doesn't have any regulations that would prevent that type of use. The city does, though, have regulations about how the structures are being built, and when those permits were given or approved, I mean, again, we're assuming that Bureau Veritas considered what the use was going to be, and that structure was, you know, reviewed and built according to those, you know, to whatever plans were submitted. And the other use you have, if I understand correctly, even though it's a separate property, it was leased, and then what is going to be a commercial use on the property, despite the fact that it may or may not have been residential and changed use or whatever. The same that applies to that property and the use on that property, that there's permits that have to be issued, and what the city then needs to see is plans for the property, for the structures on the property, there's setbacks that are required, there's parking that's required for uses, and if there's no permit issued for that type of use, then, I mean, right now, by your own code, there's no permit to operate that business. And so for that business to operate on that particular site, there needs to be a permit issued, and we need to make sure that it satisfies all the requirements. For that particular one, for the auto repair, for the semi-truck repair, I think an issue that I've seen through email is the office that's being used. It was proposed for an RV to be on the site. Your code does not allow an RV to be used. It does allow a mobile home to be used in certain instances, but when you do that, there's a process to follow, and as far as I know, that hasn't been followed yet. So if it feels like that's not much help, I think that we're all in agreement that your code, without zoning, there's not much the city on its side can do if someone follows the permitting process. If the city is looking to protect this kind of thing in the future, and if the residents want the city to be the party that is protecting uses and within Brookshire, then zoning needs to be the option that needs to be built in. And that's a process we can go through to do that, but it's just you don't have that right now.
Mayor Branch, may I speak? On May the 21st, 2020, City Council met, and if Ms. Woods was kind enough to send me the agenda, and I looked up the city minutes, and out of your own mouth, Attorney Pruitt, you say it speaks on the fact that the city does not have zoning, which has its benefits, but there are regulations and control that council has, which is listed in the ordinances, that states that if a property were to switch use, whether it's from residential to commercial or commercial to residential, that it should be brought before city for city approval. And this didn't happen in either case. You're our city attorney, and that's what you said.
Yeah, so I think that I'm not going against what I said in that meeting, and I'm not going against what you were advised by a prior attorney. if you're using that particular, that one two-sentence provision to create zoning in the city, then your prior attorney advised you correctly that you should not do that. And I think that from what you've said and what your staff has done, that is the policy that you've adopted. And so people have not been coming to you. I think I can say that, and it may sound like I'm saying the opposite, but I'm not saying the opposite. That there are provisions under state law in certain circumstances to where you have controls over the types of businesses, types of uses that are on property. And if that's the start of that was why that particular provision was added, then yeah. But here's the problem with that, though, and it's not a problem. Again, I don't think there's anything illegal about that provision. I just think that you need staff and code enforcement to make that happen. Because then what that does is, if you don't have zoning, when someone comes in to start a business, there's nothing that prohibits any type of use from going to a certain parcel, because you don't have zoning. So no one can say to you that they're on a residential parcel or on a commercial parcel. If you had zoning, they would know that clearly, because it would be, their property would be listed as zoned a certain way.
But you said they needed to come before city council.
If they're gonna follow your code, then you can do that.
So, in other words, I'm sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name, should have came before city council and said he purchased residential property, but I would like to now turn it into commercial property. And even though that we don't have zoning, we could have voted to allow him commercial property or not.
You could have done that, yes.
No, he didn't follow the permitting process properly.
The problem that, like, what I'm trying to say, though, is because you've adopted a policy that has ignored that provision, and that was in place when he submitted his permit, then saying he should or shouldn't have done something, you were taking the advice of your counsel at the time, and I mean, to retroactively go back and try to get somebody to follow a permit process that you had in place at the time.
No, this, it's not right. It point blank states that right there.
So Mayor, my question is this. So you have two properties here, and they're both for discussion and action. And I think I've mentioned this to several members of council, that nothing prohibits any of you from contacting a property owner or business owner and getting information. So my suggestion to you would be that Mayor, you and your development services team meet with both property owners, or at least business owners, and we talk about what could be done, so that when council, if these items come back to council, that you have more information and you have a direction of what the council should or shouldn't do for either use. Unless, but that's my suggestion, do that unless council feels that you have sufficient knowledge of each situation to take action tonight, then you are free to do that. But my suggestion would be that we meet with the property owner, business owner, and then we make sure that it's very clear what they're expected to do, or give them options for what could be done.
We're here tonight because there was a meeting.
Right, right.
And you're right, Brother Justin. You're right. The law has stated, we understand that this is a hazard within the community. We're not saying we disapprove of the business. We're not saying that. But as a resident that walks that area for exercise, I already struggle with the big trucks that come through there. You see kids that are playing in the area that's across the street, people worshiping 2 to 3 times a week. We're not saying we disapprove of your vision, just not on this street. Not in that area. Accidents will happen. I know both of you worked hard, but both of you was misled. And I can only apologize on my side for that. Because the meeting should have came before council for us to make a proper decision. So we should be ready to make a motion upon this. The lawyer has spoke, Dr. Clay, I believe. The last time I checked, the setbacks didn't measure, but the young man have all his paperwork. But we should be ready to make a motion upon this. It don't have to come before council. It's really an administrative decision. But since it's made before council and we are aware of it, there's no use of going any 30 minutes more. We have the information before us. Either we can table, but we need to make a decision.
Ms. Connor, could you tell me one more time? Number 15 is
Number 15.
is the chemical company, correct?
It's the chemical plant. Well, I'm not gonna- Life After Bugs. the company.
Life After Bugs. Thank you.
Agenda item number 16 is gonna be the RVS fleet maintenance, which sits in the parking lot.
Justin,
Which is hard because you have one that's in compliance and one that's out of compliance.
Correct.
I don't think they should have bled together because it's really not fair.
Correct.
Justin,
Nothing, I mean, if it's if the council's ready
This
to
is
make a
on
motion
council.
on 15 or 16, it's what's there.
council, any other discussion? Nope. Well,
Ms. Gage has brought an ordinance before us of calling this to a halt. We do need more research. We do need to hear from our city engineer concerning the property itself. We do understand the hazard concerns for our citizens, and that's what we're taking a stance on tonight. But if we're going to adopt anything, we can adopt the ordinance to temporarily halt this project till we can get our code enforcement in place, and we can make the proper decision based off our city engineer. The law is in place, so we just got to follow the law. They didn't come, one came before council, the other one's approved, one is operating without permits, the other one is operating, but this is just not the time.
Which, do you have a motion, Mr. Jones?
Yes, I don't know how to combine it.
Huh? You have a motion, or?
I do believe it's time for a motion, but me feeling that this is an administrative decision, it won't be pushed on me to make this motion.
No, I'm just asking, were you going to make the motion? I didn't say that goes for anybody.
I asked that we table 16, 15, and 16.
No.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Thank you.
Would you like me to make the motion?
Make that motion.
Pastor Jones? I'd like to table agenda item number 15 for more research with our new engineering company, and deny number 16, not deny completely, but until they get the correct permits for the business located at 4761 South Street and meet all city compliance. And that's my motion.
Second.
Whose second are we taking there?
Ms. Taylor.
Ms. Taylor, I put you.
Okay.
Oh, you put,
Huh?
put me for second.
How about that? Okay, Mr. Jones.
Oh, it's about 4.
Mr. Green?
4.
Ms. Brent? Oh, you made the motion, so motion carries. Okay.
Mayor Branch, since Mr. Woods was kind enough to come, and we do have other citizens that this affects here, could we move to agenda item number 11?
That one out.
Thank you, Mayor.
Agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding having billboard at Highway 90 and Gresham Avenue removed. Alderman Branch. Woman Branch.
Mayor Branch and council, we have a sign ordinance in place. I'm not sure how this passed by the permitting clerk. I'm not gonna throw rocks at anybody. All I'm gonna say is that that sign that is located on Highway 90, on the property of Brookshire Car Care is out of line, out of compliance, and we've voted not to have billboards on Interstate 10 due to the sign ordinance. The sign ordinance
And the lighting.
says you can only have 2 signs, and there's 4. And if y'all don't mind, I'll go ahead and make that motion that we have that billboard located.
The 910 Gresham sign is the old fire department. It's not.
I'm sorry, I was trying to do the billboard.
It's on Highway 90 in Gresham.
Highway 90 in Grissom, that we have them remove the billboard at Highway 90 and Gresham Avenue removed. And that's my motion.
Okay.
Due to the out of compliance of a city ordinance.
Second.
Mr. Jones, your vote?
4.
And Mr. Green?
4, and I think we should make sure that that fine is enforced. The fine for putting it up should be enforced.
Good.
Yes, motion passes. I was trying to get all of this written down.
Thank you, Mr. Woods, for coming to our meeting.
Okay, now, I guess we go back to the record.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's go to agenda item number 4. Discussion and possible action regarding update of emergency policies and procedures and restrictions relating to facilities and operation regarding COVID-19. Officer Phillips.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We have, the cases we have down with county-wise, we have 92 total in the county, 25 in the city of Brookshire right now, active cases in the city.
I'm sorry. Can you get the microphone so I can get that on the recording? Thank you.
Start over at the church, amen. Mr. Mayor, the council, and the county-wide, we have 92 cases total, 25 in the city right now that's active. Also, on the 27th at the United Way, we're going to be doing the COVID vaccination test from 10 to 3, the shots from 10 to 3. And on the 3rd of November, which both of them going to be on Wednesdays, from 10 to 3, free of charge.
The 27th.
The booster shot.
What was the first date?
Yes, give me the dates again.
The 27th of October, which will be next Wednesday,
Okay.
and the following Wednesday, which is going to be November the 3rd, from 10 a to 3 p, free of charge at the United Way. They're also going to be doing the booster shots as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Should be it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Officer Phillips.
Can I get a flyer so I can post on the website?
Okay, we'll Moving on to agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding labor to design, configure, deploy, implement a new server for administrative department. Ms. Harrison?
Yes, Council and Mayor, the administrative department has already purchased the server, and what you have in your packet tonight is the charges that would be incurred for us to have it properly installed and get all of the computers back on and up and running in the office.
Any discussion? Take a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the cost of regarding the labor design, configuring, deploy, and implement of a new server for the administration department.
Second.
Give me just a second. Motion. Okay, Mr. Green, your vote?
For.
Thank you. And Ms. Taylor, your vote?
For.
Motion carries. Let's move on to agenda item number 6. Discussion and possible action regarding the 2021-2022 holiday schedule. Ms. Harrison, do you want to speak on that as well?
No, I apologize to council. I failed to get this to you guys during the budget time, and just hopefully you guys have looked at it. I kept the same kind of pattern that we've done in the past with everything.
Kelly, you all right with it? Chief, you all right with it? Ms. Harris? Well, I guess she's not. Ms. Green? I'll make a move.
Come on,
I got a unanimous decision, but one. So I make a motion that we approve the 2021-2022 holiday schedule.
For. Second, sorry.
Mr. Green?
For.
And Ms. Branch. Ms. Branch?
For.
Okay. Motion carries. Now we're going to agenda item number 7. Discussion and possible action regarding appointing Monique Taylor as contact person for city festivals. Ms. Branch.
Mayor and council, at one time, Miss Eva Lemus was the contact person. She wasn't over all festivals. She was just the contact person, make sure that flyers got out in a timely manner, not necessarily do the flyer, but, and everything got advertised, this, that, and the other. Nothing out of the extraordinary, just to make sure that our city festivals flow smoothly. And since Miss Taylor's sort of new on the council, I thought we'd break her in, break her in. We'll give her something to do. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Monique Taylor as contact person for city festivals.
Okay. Before we go into first, Ms. Monique, will you
I'll
accept
second it.
it?
Like that.
You can't second it.
I know. I was just listening.
Do we have a second?
My question, and I'm not opposed to Ms. Taylor, please, but I thought Alderman Stamps was over the festivals after Miss Eva Lemus.
They said he over Juneteenth, 'cause I asked.
He done Cinco de Mayo. No, we never replaced Unless y'all, Mr. Green?
I think Mr. Stamps stepped in when we didn't have anybody in that position. I haven't spoke with him. That's been a long time that he kind of assumed that those duties, and he stepped up to the plate and started trying to keep the festivals going. I cannot recall if we ever voted to actually fill that position. That I'm not sure. I don't know.
Once Miss Eva Lemus, I appreciate you, man, resigned from it, he did pick it up. I do know the contact was the city. They would contact the city. City would promote the flyers, push the flyers. He would coordinate the events.
Yeah.
That was my understanding.
Ms. Taylor, will you work closely with Mr. Stamps?
I did during Juneteenth when I had nothing to do with it. I actually stepped in and helped, so I was already kind of
Okay.
helping. So.
Let's move forward.
And just so council knows that, you know, Councilman Taylor, you can vote for yourself on that. There's not a
That's I
conflict of
said
interest.
second, but
Okay,
they
good.
told me I couldn't.
You
Thank
need to tell them I can, because I'm not that position.
I wrote she is set. Okay. Motion carries.
I didn't vote.
Oh. Y'all got me. Mr. Jones, your vote?
It's hard to vote, and I can't hear from Alderman Stamps. And I don't want to be making a rational decision.
Just abstain. Do a Kim Branch.
Well, it shouldn't be. I mean, if he's already in place and she's agreeing to work with him, so I.
Ms. Branch, if you can make a motion to approve what Dr. Green has said about Ms. Taylor working with Alderman Stamps.
I rescind my motion. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Councilman Stamps and Councilwoman Taylor as the contact people for City Festival.
Second.
You heard that, didn't you, Mary?
I can't do a third. Why y'all look at me? I think I can do a third. Everybody looked at me.
Mr. Jones, it's your time to vote.
Yes, I'm for.
And Mr. Green.
4.
Thank y'all very much. Okay. Agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding repairs for Heritage Drive. Mayor Pro Tem Green.
I'm asking, is there any updates?
No, he hasn't sent me anything. I'm waiting on several things from Dr. Clay.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Wait till later with information.
Next council meeting, please put it back on the agenda.
Okay. Mr. Green, may I ask that if I really can't get in touch, because I haven't been able to, the people that are helping us right now, can I get them to go and look at the situation and try to get you what we're trying to get?
The Gunda Corporation.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll move on to agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding agreement with GrantWorks for services to assist with American Rescue Plan funding expenditures.
Any discussion?
We already approved GrantWorks to help us with the American Rescue Plan funds, but now this is a particular, I don't know what the difference is,
But it's
Justin.
just, so the process goes, we went out for RFQ, they responded, we chose them, then they send us the agreement. And so this formalizes that agreement.
I appreciate you so much. I make a motion that we approve regarding the agreement with GrantWorks for the services assisted to the American Rescue Plan funding expenditures.
Second.
Second.
We're bringing money in there.
Green.
No, nobody said anything. Ms. Taylor. Mr. Green?
Before I make can you explain to me what fund this is?
Okay, this is the American, help me say, Rescue Plan Fund. And this was money that's being given to cities all over. The city of Brookshire has been awarded quite a large sum, and I don't know the exact number. But we have already received a little over 500,000. Next year, somewhere at the beginning, first quarter,
Thank
we will receive the remaining funds. I think all in total, we have been awarded 911,000 and some odd dollars. But there are 66 categories that constitute what that money can be spent on. GrantWorks was put in place to help us make sure that what we try to spend the funds on, that we don't just waste time trying to spend it on something we can't spend it on. And they have been meeting with myself and Ms. Connor. And so they have assigned a gentleman to the city of Brookshire.
We don't get audited, and then
Right.
that's basically what GrantWorks is gonna do. They're gonna make sure that the funds are allocated correctly without us being audited, and that they're being used only for the purpose that they were intended by President Biden.
And how can we get involved as city council and just say where that money goes?
That's what we're working on. That's what we talked about in our meeting this week, because we know that you guys are gonna want input. If there is anything that any one of you can think of that you think the city needs, you can let myself or Ms. Connor or both of us know, and he will go and see if that's in one of those 66 categories,
Okay.
if it's allowable. I can tell you right now, we're working on trying to get the roof fixed. We may not be able to, maybe we can, but that was one of the first things that we did. We told him a few things, and he's come back and let us know that some of the other stuff, just off the top, no. But he's still looking to see if there's a way even around that. But if there are items or projects that you want to do, we just need to know what they are so we can relay that to him. And he's gonna be the one to do the research within those categories and see if there's any way
Okay.
that we can get it done.
Your wheels get to spinning about, it has to be something that's related to the pandemic. It can't just be, I think roads wasn't even included,
No.
so that's already,
Roads were not
We asked
included.
about streets.
that's already not included, so.
What about the convention center? Okay.
Well,
Wait,
I received reason why I'm asking is because I spoke with GrantWorks at TML, and they gave me a copy of what the money can be spent on, and I would like for council to be involved in that decision making.
Oh, yes.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, unless y'all approve whatever it is once.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, we're just trying to get the list together, and it's gotta come to you guys. Yeah, we don't get to choose what, we just trying to, yeah.
Okay. 4, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Ms. Branch?
4.
Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to agenda item number 10. Discussion and possible action regarding a park area lease agreement between the city of Brookshire and Brookshire Youth Sports League. Is that you, sir?
That is I.
Name, sir?
My name is Daniel Jenkins. I'm the founder, along with my brother Joe Jenkins, of the Brookshire Youth Sports League here in Brookshire. We submitted a lease agreement to Mr. Justin for you all to review, and we had some minor things that we wanted to correct. I don't know if that lease agreement has made it to you or not. Have it?
It should be in their packet.
In their box.
It's in our package.
Packets,
It's in the
yes.
package.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
operating period from the lease premise. When the lease or the contract between the sponsor and us. Taking those type of things down every day is a promotion, it's an advertisement for people that want to advertise their business. And plus, it also gives a foothold for the kids, because right now, we are the lowest charging entity around here for kids. And my brother and I is sponsoring it. Eventually, somewhere down the line, we have to bring in some other revenue. It cannot continue to go at the rate that it's going as we speak. So by having those banners up, it makes things, it brings in more business. If we have a tournament, people gonna see that sign and say, oh, let's go to Holiday Inn, or let's go up here to Quantum Inn, let's go to Popeyes. Because they're paying for that advertisement. The more people we bring in, the more people gonna see it, more people gonna spend money here in Brookshire. That was one of the main concerns on item number G.
What are you gonna do to us when somebody comes over and destroys all your advertisement?
Well, what happens is that one of the things that
Not that I'm saying it happened.
No, anything can happen. One of the things that Brookshire like is eyes on property. It is a proven factor that if you are utilizing a particular property on a consistent basis, people have a tendency not to go and try to destroy things. When you are vacant, a burglar always gonna go for the easy picking. Or if they don't like you, they're gonna go there and tear it up. Even though you have cameras is not a deterrent. It's just an informal way of calling the police. If nobody called the police, what's the cameras there for?
Right.
You know, because people are always on camera, they don't care. If the police don't come, I'm just tear it up. So that is the biggest thing that we look at, because we have to get something in here for Brookshire for these young kids, because the settlement rate is gonna be high. And we have to make sure that we get that lowered. Because I've worked for Harris County for 20 years, and I'm retired military. So what happens is that I see a bunch of these kids on an everyday basis. And if we don't do something for them, you actually have a lot more crime here in Brookshire. And what this is doing is that we are building a base. When I got my teacher's degree, we was taught to build a step as you go. You don't want a kid playing with another kid at the same level. He's never gonna learn anything. But if you put him with a little kid that's a little bit older, he's gonna learn something as you go along. And that's what we're doing here with Brookshire. We have over 70 kids that came out on our first registration. 70 kids. You know, when you look around, 70 kids is a lot. On our fall registration, we have over 50. Also, we having a fall fest coming up on October the 30th that everybody's excited about doing. I wish I could see your faces to come out there and see, because these kids have gotten done from not being able to throw the ball 20 feet. Now they can throw over 30 feet easily. And they're having over 13 games, and every kid is traveling. From the 4-year-olds all the way up to the 12-year-olds. Everybody is traveling. People are knowing Brookshire now because number one, Waller is playing us. Hempstead is playing us. Eagle Lake is playing us. Sealy, we didn't get to them in time, they only have 2 teams. So they are playing the Grange. People are noticing Brookshire. Not because of what I'm doing, because of what everybody is doing. This is a lockstep thing. And I need to pull you all in, just like Mr. Jones. I started with Mr. Jones 2 years ago. 2 years ago, before the pandemic hit, we was talking. So now, it just happened to get better. Some of your kids have played on the Pee Wee. So, things have changed, things have gotten better. It only can go up with your help. But now it comes down to the part about the park. A
A lot of things on the lease is that it's, some things is too vague, it says city. I don't want the clerk out of the front office to come say, well, I'm from the city, I'm gonna check your books. It don't work that way. It has to be a certain person that's designated from the mayor or from the council that say, this is gonna be your point of contact. But something is need to be done, or the mayor signs off and this is the person coming out to check your books, or whatever. It just can't say, well, I'm coming out to see it. I'm a council member, I'm coming up here to check your book. No, this is still a business. And I need to have those kind of things set in the lease. That way I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Some of the things it says 3 days for audit. Everybody works. Even though I'm retired twice, I still work. I'm never around. My brother, he's retired, he's never around. We always doing something. So one of the things that we ask between 7 and 14 days for us to be able to come and get the books together. But we don't live here in Brookshire. You know, it's easy for you all because you live right here. It's not the same thing for us.
We in section M?
I look, what section are you in?
That was for the audit, section M, he wanted to switch from 3 days as written in the agreement, he wants either 7 to 14 days prior notice.
Right.
I think that was your 3 suggestions in the email.
Right.
Yes, sir.
You know, and the last thing that we didn't cover is that the amount that we were willing to pay the city. Because to have a contract, we have to have some type of give and take. We have to pay a concession for having a farm. We don't have a lot of money, even though the money that we're gonna be getting coming in, we utilize a 70-30 concept. 7% goes to the league, 30% goes to infrastructure. Infrastructure means, I'm not talking to you like you don't know, but I'm just telling you what it is. Infrastructure means that if something go on at the park that needs to be repaired, we can take that money without going, hey, Sid, I need for you to come out here and do this. If we can hire a licensed person to get it fixed, let's get it fixed. That's what that 30% will be utilized for. The other 70% will be utilized to run the league on anything that we bring in, including registration. We also have in the lease while the Yak Club utilize the concession stand 1 weekend out of the month. Because it's still gonna help the young people there also. And at the rate we're going, even though we are utilizing the high school, that's coming out of the high school budget. And eventually, we're not gonna be able to maintain that kind of thing when it's coming out of the budget for the AD. They are beautiful, they support us, but somewhere down the line, we have to move to something that's permanent. Because a kid will always wanna say, this is my baseball field, this is my home. Come play me at my home, not at the high school. That's not his home. But when a small kid all the way up to age 14, come play me at Hovis Park. That's why BYSL is at, right there. Come play me there. And that's what you have to look for. And some of the things that you will get by us being there, if you utilize money to repair this park and you don't have eyes on it, they're gonna tear it up. People don't care, they will tear it up. And what I'm saying is that I want something that's gonna be productive, no matter what happens. If you have a security system on there, like I mentioned before, and I get a notice on my phone, I'm getting my butt up and I'm calling the police park down here and say, hey, I got somebody on that field that's not supposed to be there. I will get up out of my bed and drive down here to make sure. Because if you ain't trust me with that field, then you'll trust me to do what's right. And what's right is me not always laying in my bed hoping somebody else will do it. I'm going to get it done. That's the way I am. There's no cut. I'm gonna get it done some kind of way. But I need your help. And I'm hoping that those 3 little things that was on there, it should not be a deal breaker. Because it's a win-win situation for Brookshire. For the little small things that I'm asking. And also asking that when you do have
different festivals that you was talking about happening. See, they have things called celebrations. They bring in teams, they bring in vendors, they park be packed. They play all day, these kids play, and our kids should be having to do the same thing. And we should be able to work with whoever's in charge of your festival to make it as big as possible. And you get people in here. I don't work them vendors for 7, 8 years, because I'm a vendor also. So it's a lot of money that can be brought in, right there at that park, just like seniors do. Why we can't do it right here? You have a park, you have a facility. It just has to be tweaked a little bit. If you let us tweak it, and let us put our eyes on it, then you can see what would happen.
Can I speak as a citizen and not as an employee?
Sure.
About this? I am concerned by the lease agreement as well as listening to him speak that the park is no longer gonna belong to the city. We'll just be funding it, but the park will belong to them. I'm afraid that I can't go over there when I want to, or my family to have functions because it'll be their park. He's asking for a camera that he will have access to. Shouldn't the city have access to that, or the police department? I mean, it's some kind of lines that are being crossed on who's in charge and who it belongs to. I think we need to think about that as being a part of a citizen, because I don't want it that they're always having something and my son may not be able to walk over there or be a part of it because they're always having something. No, all the kids get off the court because we're having something over here, or it just, I think that lease needs to be looked at again.
Let me explain, maybe I didn't make myself better clear. When you have a lease, what happens is that anyone can go to that park because the park is for the city. What we're doing is leasing out the use of the fields and the building, while we can sell things and things of that nature. We can't tell you that you can't come on a public park. What we are saying is that if we schedule, because we are asking the city to give us stricter use of the fields from a certain date to a certain date, that's when we play.
What if your schedule contains every weekend? Then what happens to the rest of the community?
Well,
They have events there. Because right now, when you were talking, it's like you're gonna have the field solely in the park solely to yourself, or the fields, because you're saying the fields, you're stating the
I'm
fields.
just saying the fields.
You're stating the fields.
Yes.
But what about those families that are having family reunions, having gatherings, as of right now? The city has nothing in place. We don't have to inform them if we wanna have something there. But now, somebody would have to be informed, and then you would have to be informed if it's gonna be a large crowd for any particular reason.
What's on the list is that if someone wanted to rent the park out.
We don't rent the park.
I'm talking about the baseball park, the baseball portion of it. Those fields have been rented out through Katie before. If they wanna rent the park as far as the baseball section out, then that part will come through us, and we'll collect the money, and we will also divvy up the money how it's supposed to go. 70 to the league, 30 to the infrastructure, and if they use the light, the city will charge whatever they wanna charge for the lights. We have no control over the pavilion, over the basketball court, over the
You're saying that when the numbers come in, with these people coming from these other cities in town, when the numbers come in, does that run our kids in the community out?
Why would it run? It shouldn't run anybody out due to the fact that if you have people coming in to play, this is scheduled. This is not something we just pop up at the last
But your schedule
minute.
may be from Sunday to Saturday, so when is it time for the community to be able, because right now, you're only including saying that, oh, for the festivals, we won't come out, we won't schedule anything. What about, like I said again, nobody in the community has to ask to use the park, it's a public park. So therefore, what about the conflict with you?
The conflict with me is the city rents the park to us, the fields in the building only. Whatever someone wants to do out there at the park, that's up to the city. We have no control over that. If we have activities or games going on at the park during that time, then we're responsible for whoever comes out in that vicinity of the baseball fields. Not the basketball court, not the splash court, not the pavilion, only that. And if a child wants to play in that league, we will never turn away a child. A child will never be turned away. But a child can't come up and say, hey, I want to play, and we're in the middle of the season. We don't go back and try to get a child in. They have to wait till the next registration.
Oh, I
comes.
understand the structure and due process, I understand it,
Right.
clearly, yeah.
Did I-
That's
did I
all,
answer your
Mayor, that's,
question?
yeah,
Okay.
that's all I have to say, Mayor.
Mr. Jenkins, what's the timeline? Do you have to have the council act on this thing tonight to make your season go forward, or when's the last date?
Now, what we did something within the next month, because I have to be able to coordinate games with Sealy and all the other people for the upcoming season in January.
Can I ask a question? The upcoming season is January to,
July. It's usually a 6-month period in there that they utilize the fields for, and if we get charter, 9 out of 10 times, a new charter always hosts tournaments for Little League.
so would you use it probably in the summer, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
No.
I'm trying to help myself and Ms. Connor, and I guess the rest of the people understand, when would you not be there that the community could go out there and have a,
Well, you know, we don't utilize, as I said before, the pavilions and stuff. We
they
don't
just,
talk about
that's what I understood, they just want to use the
fields.
fields.
I have nothing to do with the barbecue stuff, the water thing, the tennis court, the basketball court. I have nothing to do with
That's
that.
what I
Only thing
understood.
I'm asking for is the fields and the soccer field. That's it. Whatever, somebody wanna come out there and do something, hey, that's on them.
With baseball, why do you need the soccer field? What about the kids that wanna play soccer?
Well, we are a multi-sport organization. We play soccer also. So that field can be utilized for the youth to play organized sports with soccer. Soccer's part of it.
So do you think that you'd be able to get a proposed schedule of the use of the fields before the lease is signed?
No, due to the fact that the leagues are shut down right now, and they don't go back up to date until the end of the year. And that's when they start making their schedule coming up for the upcoming year. And like I said, I'm basing this off what Sealy does, because I was on the board for over 10 years. They take the fields and Sealy, and they give it to the Little League from that time frame. And then after the time frame, we also, they turn it over to the city, and the city rents the fields out to adult leagues to play.
But one of the things you have to take into consideration that we have our city festivals there,
Right.
and that will always take precedence over anything else that's going on.
That's correct. And that was one of the things that you all have a set calendar that you utilize.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I was saying earlier is that when you do have these things, you can also incorporate games, softball games, baseball games, because you already have it, because that's what the city does. I don't know exactly what the city does at festivals, but if you don't use the field, that'll be a good time to use the field, and that's gonna bring more people in to your festivals.
Dr.
I'm all for y'all coming. I don't know why we've held y'all up for so long, but our youth needs people like y'all. Our city needs people like y'all.
So I think there's one other thing, I think that since you got that draft document, that the EDC, the Brookshire Economic Development Corporation, approved, like an overhaul of the fields, a landscaping contract. And so I think some of your proposed, 70-30 split, that's gonna be taken care of by the EDC and funded through them. And so that's one thing, that's why I asked about if you could maybe table it a little bit, because that piece too, another part of that might affect your schedule, is I can't remember the term, how long it's gonna take for those fields to get, updated through that contract, but that's a done thing. And so
Say 3 months.
I wouldn't want that contract to affect your proposed, your proposed term of schedule, whatever it's gonna be. And so I think we may need to work that schedule into what we have, because that's happened since we had that draft come out.
Yeah.
What-
Well, go ahead.
When we put it in as EDC, when we voted on it, they did tell us it'll be like 30 days in construction to get it up and going. Well, I do see meeting down the road, like you say, they're split. The tournament-wise, as an ex-coach in running tournaments, the city needs to put in the contract its amount. Brookshire Sports League have its amount for the registration, but then that would mean that we'd have to charge the Brookshire Sports League for the tournament use of the facility. Y'all can see it on that. EDC is funding, what it is right here, and he said it in the beginning of his presentation, there's a give and take. And the Brookshire Sport League knows that they have to give some type of compensation back to the city for the use of that facility. And if you run a tournament, and said, and the tournament is a $500 fee, and he gave us a split. And the EDC is responsible of maintaining the maintenance on there. Somebody's gonna need to cover.
This is where we're gonna get a little bit off topic, but I don't understand how the EDC, they're city parks. They're not the EDC's park.
I never said it was, Ms. Branch.
But you're saying that y'all made agreement. Is that what you,
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
okay, take me back, Mr. Jones, and tell me what you said about the EDC.
Well, I've been working with Brother Jenkins, and we've been working on this project. And pretty much what it's going to end down and boil down to is the monies. His organization is definitely going to need funds to operate. How they going to operate, he started and spoke about the sponsorship of those banners. We do have cameras out there. I'm a witness that they work.
We just had them redone.
Okay, I'm a witness they work, and they do call the police when they do notify. They got access to watching them. But this saying in two, I do know the area, and those signs will come up from Hovers Park to First Street in a matter of time. So no matter how we look at it. But at the end of the day, the split of the tournament, the monies, the finances of coming to the city and to the Brookshire Youth League, I think needs to be represented in this contract, the breakdown. And we spoke about that tournament cost.
I think we broke it down, that's why I put it as for instruction. It was a 70-30 split because the money, for us to operate, we have to have money coming in. We have to. And so if we do a tournament, 70-30, it's not a bad split. Because what happens, that money is gonna be used for out there. While the other money it takes for us to buy, we have to pay umpire, we have to pay uniform. All different kind of things comes out of that budget. And just to get you to understand how much it costs for a person to come out there to umpire games, from my experience, it costs you $65 for me to come out there for an hour and 15 to an hour and 30 minutes for me to do one game. When you talk about 8 to 13 games per level, that's a lot of money. Because if you don't have an ambassador calling the game will go haywire. Because you got, I hate to say it, you got bad parents. You got beautiful kids, but that parent up there in that stand is what's gonna cause problems. That's why I'm gonna be calling the chief and say, hey, I got somebody over here that's outrageous. But if you got someone out there, no matter what we do, you're gonna have to pay an ambassador. Because if you do it yourself, it's never gonna work right. And all those little expenses, people don't understand. It builds up. Right right now, my brother, my son, and I are calling all our games for free. We're doing it. We get a couple volunteers, I understand. It's saving us money, because we have to find some kind of way to save money. But when you step up and you move up, you have to get more people to come out, but we're gonna have to pay them. And that's how the money is being broken down in that way.
And I don't think that we should be trying to, I understand that the city's responsible for mowing and the upkeep and everything, but we're not trying to make a profit off the Brookshire Youth League.
No, we're not trying to do that.
And so I think that we need to decide what's fair is fair, and let's let these people, y'all been here for, I like seeing y'all, but I really don't. I want to see you out there. Not here no more.
Well, I did ask, was it possible for them to play during the construction? And the contractor stated yes. He said he would be able to work around that, because I didn't want to put off another year. I don't know how long construction is going to take, but I would like to see this league formed, because this is probably round 10.
Yes.
Yes, for
This
us
is
when it
about
comes,
round.
not with you,
Right.
not with
We
you.
had
No, we-
so
we-
many people
yeah.
come
Yes.
and ask for the use of the fields,
Yes.
and they get put on the back burner, and they never move forward. And
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're persistent.
in defense of that, I can only speak for me. What they end up doing is coming in and telling us how they're gonna dictate our fields, telling us that we can't come out there. They're the only contacts for that area, and I don't believe that should be.
No, it shouldn't be. You should be able to come out there anytime you want, anyone. As long as you conduct yourself as a
That's the reason why we're around. That's the reason why we're round 10, because they come into the city of Brookshire and tell Brookshire, we over this park, and you can't tell us what to do with it.
And some of them were actually just bringing a different league to our community and not bringing our children to the league.
Right.
That's
So
been a
that's
big
why.
part of it too.
That's why we're round 10.
This program is developed for Brookshire sports.
Right.
For Brookshire kids.
Yes.
If you go on our website and look, and I suggest you should, you're gonna see a whole bunch of kids you know.
Yes.
And that's why we've been working with you.
Yep.
Pastor Sue's church. This little kid wouldn't even speak to me when he first started. He got up and ran to me. This is my coach. He grabbed my leg like I'm like telling all his little friends, this is my coach. It makes a difference. It really does. Now all these little kids are having parties. They having parties together, and they making friends for life at this level.
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
And they need that. And the only thing I'm saying is that I'm not planning on doing this for about another 2 or 3 more years, and then I plan on turning it over. Because I want to make sure it get turned, restarted, and it get turned over. And I want to sit back up there and say, I remember that little kid. But I can't do it without you. I'm just going to be honest. Because everybody's not going to agree on everything about this contract. But if you let one thing stop this contract, you want us to go ahead and throw the whole program in the trash. Because you're not gonna make everybody happy.
Right.
It's not. And there's a lot of good questions that came about, like the young lady right here, she made a good question because she thought I had the whole thing. No, I don't.
No, I never stated that. I stated fields. I said with the amount of people you were bringing in, it would control the park. That's what I mean. I never stated, I know, I read the lease, it stated fields, but you also stated soccer. So that's why I asked that question. But yes.
Soccer is part of the field. That's all.
No, well, I thought they was only speaking on the baseball field. But I applaud everything y'all are trying to do, and I will support as much as possible. I just wanna make sure that our kids are always included.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Brookshire kid was first when I spoke to Pastor Jones. Brookshire kids would never get turned away. We sponsor more kids during the first season out of our own pocket. My brother and myself, own pocket. Kids
Congratulations,
can't
we've
do
done
it.
it all.
I'm not asking, well, one thing I'm saying is that we're not gonna turn kids away because they can't play,
That's right, you're not supposed to, that's right.
you know?
Well, one of the things that when I was taking my son to KYF, after we left the game, we went to Sonic, we went to McDonald's, we went, to the stores, and spent money in that community. Now that money stays here in our community,
Right.
and outside
That's
money
the
actually
whole-
comes. So this is a win-win.
Right.
And we couldn't do this without your vision because we didn't know what to do. We're not experts on youth leagues, but you've got one established already, and you brought it here to our community, and I welcome you here in our community. I'm willing to work with you.
Okay, I think we spent quite a bit of time
Yeah.
on this. Hoping that the council can make a decision. Let's move forward.
I don't have a problem with it.
So, and again, I'm not against the contract or anything, but since there's some provisions that are in debate that haven't been settled, a way to make this happen might be that, we move to authorize the mayor to finalize the negotiations of the contract so that they don't have to, you don't have to come, we can do that through email or something like that with the mayor, and we get terms that are
Okay.
good. What we can do then is, at the next meeting, have the final version of this thing with all the stuff we're talking about that needs to be just ironed out. So we're not killing the deal or anything, we're just getting the contract ironed out. We can do that through email. You wouldn't have to come back and take another trip to Brookshire for like a meeting like that. We just have the final document then for you to approve. So if that's something you're comfortable with, then that's the way we could do it, just authorize the mayor to finalize the contract, and then we'll have it at the next meeting, the actual final version with the provisions we've talked about, and then the blanks that we need to fill in, that filled in. And maybe even I was thinking about that to clear up some of the issue about what the lease is covering. We can put a schematic on the deal or drawing and just show we're talking about these fields, this area, that soccer field, put that on there so we know it's clear to everybody what's being leased. And
I have a problem with that, you know?
Good to me.
Somebody make the motion.
Any more discussion before I ask? No?
Concerning that tournament breakdown, how we gonna work that? Because at the end of the day, I think the contract needs to reflect what we had discussed, concerning that, well,
I think that's part, like, if there's because that's one blank, that's a big blank in the thing, is what the lease amount's gonna be. And, I mean, I think that's something, as long as the mayor can be authorized to do that, then when it comes to you, we'll have that thing filled in, and if that's part of the negotiation we need to have, and we'll work that out through email and let him know that.
You know,
So-
on top of that, just make sure that, like I said, I took the same mold from Sealy and brought it here. Sealy don't charge their little league nothing for their bills. Nothing. Because they're bringing in revenue, and when you got over 200 or 300 kids coming out there, then it pays the city itself. The city gets the money. Don't charge.
no, we're not saying we're gonna charge you, Dr. Jenkins. We're not saying we're charging you. No, we're not saying that. We discussed this when I called you, saying about the vision for the city of getting youth participating in Youth Active. You remember I contacted, we talked about that. What we are saying, like you said in your presentation concerning lights, that's not gonna be a cost on y'all,
Right, but it's a cost
on the city.
They pay for lights, and then the money comes to the city. And because a lot of other, just because we're a youth program,
Yes.
a lot of people have also been asking about adult leagues here, because a lot of people want to play. I still want to play.
Let's stick with youth right now. We'll be in a whole. Let's stick with the children. We'll be a whole nother line. Thank you so much, Lisa, because we'll be down the street on this one.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
It's a lot of variables in the correction of the contracts. I don't know what verbiage to use.
Just moved, you can just say, so moved. I move that the mayor finalize negotiations of the contract, and we'll see it next month. If you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, then
That's,
you
that,
move what you want.
let's move forward. Let's move forward. What Mr. Justin just said.
Second.
Y'all, it's my bedtime, I'm sorry.
Mr. Jones, you making that motion?
That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, second, Ms. Branch. Mr. Green?
4.
And Ms. Taylor?
4.
Okay, motion carries. Let's try to zip on through these. We're on,
What?
we've already did,
Mayor Branch,
no.
that gentleman right back there, sir, yep, you.
Yes.
You've been sitting back there a long time. What agenda item are you on?
Oh, he's just here.
Oh,
Oh, he missed him.
I'm sorry.
He enjoying the meeting.
I
Bless you.
apologize. I was trying to help you out.
Bless you.
Ms. Branch, he's someone that I asked to attend the meeting.
Oh,
Why didn't you tell us? Because I was trying to figure out who he was.
I'm like, okay.
Okay,
Poor man.
anyway. Yeah, we already did number 11. Number 12, discussion and possible action regarding removing the sign on city building located at 910 Gresham. Ms. Branch.
I make a motion, well, I just would like to see that sign. It's confusing, bless you. It's confusing people, and have that sign removed when we paint the building.
Any
What?
discussion?
Oh, you're talking about on the old fire building?
Oh, yep, we ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
I know.
She made a motion.
Oh, you made the motion.
Second.
I'm sorry. That was so fast, I would.
I'm excited something getting done with the building. I'm gonna get it painted. So, when y'all remove the sign, please bring the red paint. Please.
Mr. Jones.
4.
Silly.
Bring some paint with it.
Okay, Mr.
I know my baby.
Green.
blood.
4.
Did I skip any more? That's it, huh?
Mr. Green voted? I
4.
didn't hear you, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, ma'am. He said 4.
Okay. That was a quick one, easy one.
I want to say something real quick about that building. I spoke with the president of the ESD board, and I expressed my concerns in not having a fire department in our community. And I asked him, could he still utilize that building for emergency services? And he said he would consider it because of the executive airport and all the new growth that's coming into our area. So I'm asking council and the mayor, keep that in mind, please. And we just had an accident at executive airport. Thank God it wasn't tragic, but it's easy access to have emergency services within our community instead of coming from the outskirts of our community. And it will help with your insurance.
And Mayor Pro Tem Green, I did do an open records request. The ESD said they've been emailing the city. And the reason why they just moved on to another building is because they never got a response.
That's not true. And we've already discussed this before, and Mayor Branch can give y'all the emails from Mr. Tim Miller. That's not true, and that was discussed several times on the phone, but let's...
But I did request them, so it may not be true, but I know I requested those emails at the time they came and spoke about.
Well, I know they came and visited me a couple times in my office. That was one of my topics to discuss if they maybe could use the building over here. My idea.
Mayor, I think we're kind of beyond the painting of the building. We should probably
Oh,
move on.
I'm sorry.
We're off topic.
Okay.
Number 13.
Agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding fixing intersection at Stallneck Road and First Street. Ms. Branch.
Mr. Kelly, that got taken care of already, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We can move
Thank you.
on.
I appreciate that too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for Ms. Branch for staying on top of it. Huh?
Mm.
Oh, my bad.
Thank you, Brother Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for getting Dr.
I
Kelly to
appreciate
go
it,
do
Mayor
it. Thank
Branch,
you.
for
Thank
staying
you
on
for
top of
listening
it.
to him.
Mr. Kelly.
I just know she was the one that was kept putting it on the
Let's
agenda.
give credit where credit due.
Okay, yes, sir.
There you
Yes, sir.
go. There
Yes,
you
sir.
go.
All right.
Yes, God.
Okay, agenda item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1336, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Brookshire, Texas, authorizing the mayor to execute a planning service agreement with Gunda Corporation, Inc., for provision of planning services to support the city's plating, permitting, engineering, and related services.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Please. Come on.
Are we still under contract with Dr. Clay for engineering?
Yes, but he has indicated that he wants to retire. And so I mentioned that briefly earlier, talking about the two items that we're talking about, that he's even limited the scope of his review to be a lot less than broad than what it used to be. And so, but just saying the status of what things are now, there, because your personnel policy allows the mayor to hire entities or people if certain departments, like an emergency type situation, if a department is just overrun and you can't process things. This particular issue, we've had the staffing just is not there, and it's not any fault of anybody here. You don't have the staffing to handle it. State law requires, like if someone comes and drops a plan or a permit off, a plat off, we have a time frame that begins immediately upon that thing getting submitted. And luckily no one's called us on that, but you have 30 days for you to act on an item that comes in. And we've missed that deadline, I think, so many times, but we've luckily had no developers call us on that. Because of that and because of all the developments happening, the mayor authorized Gunda Corporation to come on a temporary basis to fill that need administratively. This contract that's here before you is just to make that not a temporary one, but to put them on more of a retainer basis so they can handle what we've called development services, which means that any question that comes to the city from initial thought about a development all the way to the end to verifying, giving the CO that we got that covered, and the Gunda Corporation has the people to do that. I don't know if Lotta, if you want to speak at anything that you've been doing already this last couple of weeks, but.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Lata Krishna Rao, and I'm with the Gunda Corporation. I'm their community planning lead. And just my background, I've spent 30 years in municipal planning. He's retired as the Community Development Director for Pearland, the city of Pearland, just north of Houston there. I was there for 14 years, so I saw the city grow from 40,000 to 120,000. I had an opportunity to work with Justin when he was in Lubbock, and I was helping the city just like I'm helping you all. So since I retired, I've been really honored to help small cities with whatever services they need, from planning to community development and development services. And as the director in Pearland, I was over planning, and I listened to a lot of code enforcement, brought it back. I was over code enforcement, engineering, health services, and all the development-related departments. And so, again, we have started helping the city. I think this is our second week, and we've been trying to help Ms. Harrison and her wonderful staff with whatever they need, from taking things at the counter to sitting at pre-development meetings and helping people understand the regulations. We were privileged that we had an opportunity to work with City of Brookshire over the past 18 months. We have prepared a draft thoroughfare plan for you all, which we're really excited to be bringing in front of you, and you'll see that some of the issues that you talk about have been addressed there. We've also looked at the development regulations. When we started, one of our charges was to look and see how residential could be protected from non-residential, especially since you don't have zoning. So we have, again, looked at those regulations, and we're ready to come and present our findings to you all. So we are excited that we'll get an opportunity to do that. And like I said, we are grateful for this opportunity to help the City of Brookshire.
Thank you.
How long is this contract?
I have it listed for 6 months with automatic renewals after that.
And I just want the council to be aware that Dr. Clay, I did speak to him not too long ago and said that we were talking about possibly bringing somebody to help us. And he just said, good. And it has been a little difficult. Dr. Clay is a well of information for this city.
Yeah.
And he is, has expressed that he is willing to help whoever comes to help us. And so I don't want something to happen. He doesn't even come in until in the afternoon, if he comes to work. And I talked to his secretary just today, because I know there were some things that were taken there that we haven't gotten back. And so he wasn't there, and she said it sounded familiar that she'd seen something, but whether it was ready or not to come back, I'm waiting to hear. So that's what I was expressing earlier about where I haven't been able to reach him here lately. And he's not been there, but he did say that he would be willing to, help anyone that we decide to come and help us. And even to sit down with me maybe and give some information that may be very pertinent to the city having as we move forward.
I look at this as a win-win situation.
I just want to
Get ready for a motion.
Before, just not to talk too much, I'm going to clarify one
Please,
thing.
help
just to
me
make
out.
sure
Give
our
me some more,
expectations are
please,
right. So
please.
they're coming in what we've called development services. That, again, like I said, is accompanying for a developer dreaming of a project from the very beginning all the way through the end. Gunda Corporation is not going to be a code enforcement officer for the city. They're going to be your development services department. They have experience doing code enforcement, but you're not, by bringing them on in that service, you're not hiring a code enforcement officer.
But
So that-
this is permitting, engineering, plats.
Yes, all that
and I'm not going,
So I'm just
I
submitting.
think the plate was too full when we had a code enforcement. He was trying to do engineering, run plats to him, do permits, and I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 1336.
Second.
Okay, we ready.
You good with that?
Yeah, we.
I'm good with that. Now the contract is 6 months. They just,
So, well, automatic renewals, and so, but we could, if they, if we start hating each other, then we can terminate it. If we love each other, we can go for it,
well, brother Pruitt, you all right? The first time I ever heard you say that. Bless you. Let's go, Brother Mayor. We got a first and second. We got a.
Mr. Jones, your vote? Oh, no, Mr. Green
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to 15 and 16 has already been taken care of. Agenda item number 17, discussion and possible action regarding a preliminary plat submitted by Wilson Engineering for the Brook Vista Townhouse development proposed to be located near the south side of Stella Road and east of Briarbrook Drive within the city limits of Brookshire.
So you have an engineering report from Dr. Clay did review this one and the next item and found no issue. He had several discussions with them, and they've come back and corrected a lot of things to the preliminary plat. So for this item, there's no, Dr. Clay has no comments, just that it satisfies our code.
Any further discussion?
Is this the one that,
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think I want to discuss anything else. Go ahead and make a motion.
I was just asking to speed the process up.
Are we doing them together or just 17?
Seven.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the preliminary plat submitted by Wilson Engineering for the Brook Vista Townhome Development.
Second.
Mr. Green?
4.
Mr. Taylor?
4.
And just for the next time too, just so you know, these are both preliminary plats, so they're not the final thing, which is, with Gunda Corporation being on board now, they'll have a second whole set of eyes on these things. If anything changes between now and then, we'll let the developer know.
Okay. Agenda item number 18, discussion and possible action regarding preliminary plat submitted by Wilson Engineering for the Brookview townhomes developed, proposed to be located near Stella Road and FM 362 outside the city limits of Brookshire.
I'm ready for a motion. Oh, Dr. Kelly? Okay. I'm ready for a motion. Oh, I'm ready to make a motion. Make a motion regarding the preliminary plot submitted by Wilson Engineering for the Brook Vista Townhome Development, proposed to be located near South Street of Stella Road and east of Brybrook Drive within the city limits of Brookshire.
Wrong one.
18.
It's 18. You read 17.
Geez, I can't read some. I move that we, regarding the preliminary plots submitted by Wilson Engineering for Brybrook Townhomes Development, opposed to the located near Stella Road at FM 362 outside the city limits of Brookshire, Texas.
Second.
Oh, geez.
Mr. Green?
4.
And Ms. Taylor?
4.
Agenda number 19, discussion and possible action regarding a joint meeting with Brookshire Municipal Water District concerning future development. Mayor Pro Tem Green?
Yes, Mayor. I asked for this joint meeting with the water district, and I really can't go into detail about anything about a specific piece of property. I think our attorney is aware of it. I just wanted to know if we made any headway of setting a date. Because I think we're running behind on a lot of stuff when it comes to this piece of property. And I think we really need to work with the water district on this.
One thing, is scope of work of the Gunda Corporation is to be the lead entity for all the entities here on the development services. And so I think that we can, with them being on board, they can help guide that meeting. And so I think whatever information you have about the particular parcel, that if we bring them, and we can get that meeting set.
Okay.
Green, why don't you make a motion that we allow Gunda Corporation to coordinate a meeting with the Brookshire Municipal Water District?
Is that your motion?
Why don't you do it, since you
Well,
said it?
Is that your motion?
What she said.
Yeah, what she said.
Second.
That
Second. Oh, it's Ms. Taylor. Let's give it to Ms.
No,
Taylor.
I was talking about y'all. 'Cause
Ms. Taylor got a second. Let's move
Second,
forward.
let's move
This is what
forward.
happens.
We good.
Oh, hold on.
This is what happens to old
Miss-
people when
Miss-
we're past our bedtime.
Mr. Jones and Mr. Green?
4.
Yeah, agree. I agree.
Mr. Jones, you 4, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Agenda item number 20, discussion and possible action regarding survey of streets that can be used by heavy commercial traffic. Mr. Green.
I need to make a motion on this to allow Gunda.
Yeah, they've already, the thing is, they've already done that. This is when Gunda was under contract from about a year, 18 months ago, one of the first things to do, that the council authorized them to do, was to do a street survey. So they
Okay.
had that ready to go. We just had never had the time for them to come present it because of all the COVID stuff. So I don't think any action needs to be taken because this is ready to go.
Okay, can we put this on the next agenda, their studies?
Yeah.
We're almost there, Mayor.
Oh,
There's a motion, we need a motion?
No,
Oh,
we're
no
doing-
action?
no.
Oh, okay, sound good. That's your Mr.
Agenda item number 21, discussion and possible action regarding forming a building standard committee. Ms. Taylor.
I'm gonna make a motion to forming a building standards committee with the Brookshire citizens.
Ms. Taylor,
Mhm.
we used to, city council used to do this,
Mhm.
but I don't think city council need to do this.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We
Yes,
get the
ma'am.
citizens involved. That's what.
Yes,
I'm-
ma'am,
that's-
and I appreciate you doing that,
Mhm.
because it turned into something different when the elected officials
Right.
was actually making these decisions.
Second.
So, thank you.
Second.
So out of our hands, let the citizens handle it.
Second.
Okay. Let's go.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Green.
Well, yeah, so if we're talking about like an official building standards committee that reviews structures and all that, the main requirement is that we have a building official or somebody acting in that capacity, because that committee is in charge of recommending to council whether you demo, require vacation of properties, whether you require to board them up or whatever,
Use
that kind of
more
stuff.
so containing, like.
But if that's what you meant, like an official building standards committee, like it's outlined in the law, then we can move that direction. It's just gonna, before they can act on anything, the city will have to have somebody in place that will be like the building official, that kind of person.
Okay.
I think, I'm gonna try and help you here, Ms. Taylor. I think Ms. Taylor's looking for citizens, say that at 3306 6th Street, Ms. Branch owns a dilapidated house. The city sends them a letter, and that Ms. Branch has to come before that committee and explain to them, I intend in 30 days to fix up my house, and if they don't meet that criteria, then we take action.
We're on the same page. I think that what I'm saying is that order has to come from a building official. So that's fine, and we can start the steps to get that done, so everybody's aware, we have to be thinking about getting somebody on in that capacity, similar to code enforcement officer, but somebody that has that experience to do building official type. So, but I'm not, don't hear saying negative in that, we can start moving that way, but that's part of the committee.
So in mind, just we putting them together now to move forward.
Yeah, we can
But to
start- yeah,
understand the
that's all-
main
that's all
piece
fine.
has to be hired for it.
Yeah.
So, got you.
Did someone second?
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Green, your vote,
For.
and Ms. Branch.
Or,
Motion carries. Agenda item number 22, discussion and possible action regarding invoice payments and reports.
Council, we had them for a little while now. I'll make a motion that we approve payments and reports.
Second.
Mr. Green?
For.
Branch.
for the lack of argument tonight, and I'm tired, for. I know that surprises you, Councilman Jones, but
No, it don't.
it's all right.
It don't surprise me.
Got something in my eye. Number 23, agenda requests. Start with you, Mr. Jones.
Nothing at this time, Brother Mayor.
Mr. Green?
Yes, make a motion that we start including bank statements back into our packets along with the invoice and payments.
Second.
Okay, let me make sure I'm clear. You said the bank statements with, that's
Yeah.
gonna be once a month, the month after, okay. With
Mr. Jones?
invoice, this is what.
Yes, sir.
Your vote on this?
4.
And Ms. Taylor?
4.
Okay. Mr. Green, any more?
Yes, discussing possible action implementing some sort of procedure that will, after city council votes on something to get done, that it is followed up. Because things happen and things are going lacking and we vote on things and nothing gets done. We need some sort of procedure and accountability on that.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
4. 4.
Ms. Taylor?
4.
Mr. Green, any more?
No, sir, I don't have anything at this point.
Ms. Taylor?
None at this time, Mayor Branch.
Ms. Branch?
None at this time, Mayor.
What?
No comment.
Agenda item number 24, council reports and community announcements.
In our haste to get to the benediction, I have to thank Dr. Kelly and his crew for a marvelous job of preparing the oval in the middle of the street. Thank y'all so much. Also, we do know that the election is going on. Make sure you go out and vote. Our school district is represented. Please show your presence. And Friday night football and volleyball against Belleville. Please go by the concession stand.
Any more announcements?
Get some scholarships.
Tomorrow's food pantry, drive-through food pantry at the hangar. 11 till all gone.
Sunday, October the 24th, will be the iReach Fall Festival at St. Paul Baptist Church, 1335 First and Waller Avenue, from 4:30 to 6:30. Everything is free.
One more time for the day.
Sunday, October 24th, from 4:30 to 6:30. Trunk or treats and all the good stuff.
The City of Brookshire and Brookshire PD's participating in Halloween. I'll send the flyer to Chief Jackson. I'm sorry that, I know it's from 5 to 7, and I can't remember, did they do it on the 30th or the 31st? But I'll get with
31st.
Chief Jackson and Miss Connor, wherever Miss Connor went, to have them placed on the website and Facebook.
We was looking to pardon on the 31st, because it's supposed to be a
Believe me,
trace station.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it is.
Chief, are you gonna have the the haunted house in the jail? No, just joking.
I don't know why I thought that was serious. I took it.
Don't do the kids like that.
Baby jail.
Don't do me like that.
You scared of Mr. Clown. Okay, any more?
Scared.
Now we ready for the next agenda item.
I
Chief,
make
you
a
got
mo-
anything you like to add? Okay. Just checking with you. Okay, agenda item number 25.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Green
4.
and
4.
Ms. Branch.
Four.
Yeah.